Raj, I'm interested. So you've written about organizations like La Via Campesina and the Landless Peasants Movement in South America for a number of years. You also mentioned earlier that you really would like to see a lot of the organizations and people participating in the food movement in the United States learning lessons from organizations, movements, individuals around the world. I was wondering, I mean, you've also written about People's Grocery and any number of incredible organizations in the United States. I wonder if you've come across examples where those individuals, movements, organizations within the U.S. had clearly learned lessons from movements, individuals who've been participating in the food movement internationally in different places for a much longer period of time.
Well, I mean, there's an example that comes to mind that isn't specifically about the food movement, but it's such a good example. It's about participatory budgeting. It's something I wrote about in The Value of Nothing, and it's about how, I mean, in Brazil, one of the sort of victories there has been how communities get together and decide how government money is spent. And this is done through a democratic process rather than just letting council people fight it out. And that sort of insistence that no, this is our right to to be able to decide where which communities get services first, and to actually engage in the sometimes unpleasant and always fraught but always rewarding process of democracy. That I mean, and in the United States, I think we've been insulated from democracy because we've been we've got its poor cousin. We've got consumer choice, where you get to choose between 2 or 3 candidates in a ballot box, and we think that that's democracy. I mean, voting is the lowest form of democracy. I mean, democracy is actually about creating and suggesting new rules and new ways of governing ourselves, and not about putting an X in a box. That's why there was this funny campaign in 2008 from Mountain Dew, where you got to choose between 3 different kinds of Mountain Dew. There was like Mountain Dew Shock and Mountain Dew Volt and Mountain Dew Blood or whatever it was, and you get to choose, and they call that Dewmocracy. But it is a sort of callow version of democracy, where you're actually getting together and meeting and engaging and figuring out fair ways of distributing resources. And there are a group from New York City who saw this happening in Brazil, where some incredibly, some hard-won victories there made it possible for cities to do this participatory budgeting. And now you're seeing it starting to happen in New York City. And I think that that's that kind of internationalism I'm excited about, and as I say, that's one that immediately comes to mind just because I've been reading about it, and I'm excited to see that flourish elsewhere in the United States. But I do think that that kind of internationalism is happening, and it's alive and well. And whether it's about occupying land and understanding new ways of doing land reform and engaging with property rights, and again, there's interesting connections between Brazil and and the United States, or whether it's simply about sort of recipes and sharing and the idea of how how to be joyful together in new ways. I am seeing some of these ideas spread, and I'm really excited by that. I think that there is a kind of joyful internationalism that's exciting to see.
I'd like to end on that note. It's a very good note to end on. I don't want to take up any more of your time, but thank you, Raj, so much for joining us.
Thank you. I've had a great time. It's been a great conversation.
It really has been wonderful, and also for those of you who are watching, you can find this Hangout, and you can also find Raj's Edible Education class on our YouTube page, which is youtube.com/ESY project, and on our website, edibleschoolyard.org, in our resource section. So Raj, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really, really love talking with you.
The pleasure was mine.
Bye.
Bye.